Okay, so today I'm making classic lasagna, which means I'm using a bechamel sauce instead of ricotta. Approximately 4 tablespoons of olive oil in here. And we're starting with carrots, celery, and onions. I have 2 carrots, 3 sticks of celery, and 1 onion. And so we're gonna saute these until they're tender. Stir them up and then let them sit. And just keep stirring them. And this will take about, I don't know, 8 to 10 minutes to get them where you want them. So the onions are looking great. They're they're very translucent. The vegetables are just starting to get tender, and that's what we're looking for. So you can see these onions, like there's one right there that is perfect. It's almost see-through. The next step is to add the bacon or pancetta. This calls for unsmoked pancetta, and I didn't have any, so I just used a couple of pieces of bacon. I think it was 3 pieces of bacon, and then we're going to stir this up until that bacon gets another probably 5 minutes for the bacon. And I've chopped this up extremely finely. It's almost like you could clump it together in your hands into a kind of a paste. And now I'm adding 1.5 pounds of ground pork and 1.5 pounds of ground beef. And we're gonna break that up a little bit. Once you get that mixed up, we're gonna add about, I'd say 4 to 5 ounces of white wine. And we're gonna let this cook. Make sure that all gets mixed in there. You also want to make sure that the wine is evaporated. This is tomato puree. It's delicious. Ugh, can't get it open. And this is 700 grams, and I'm going to add all of it. And then we're going to put the top on this and let it cook for 2 or 3 hours just to develop all of the flavor that you want in there. First, let's take a look at the RAGU. I just turned it off, and it looks divine, and it tastes divine. I did add salt and pepper during the cook, and I did it to taste, so just add as much as you want in there. The next step would be to cook your pasta, and if I made homemade pasta, but if you're making it from the box, just go along with the directions on the box and you will be all set. Okay, so we're gonna melt this butter, and we're gonna make a roux, and you're gonna keep your heat on a medium, and you're just gonna stand here and keep an eye on it. So a roux consists of a fat, some flour, starch, and some liquid product. In this case, it's milk. And the best utensil to use for this is a whisk, because you want to be able to feel the bottom, and you want to be able to mix everything together really well. It's bubbling. Okay, and then I'm going to just sprinkle the flour on top of that and get that. Oh, this pan is annoying. I need a new pan, I think. And we're going to cook this out for 10 minutes just to get rid of that flour taste. 2 minutes. Did I say 10 minutes? 2 minutes. I think we're good with that. And then we're going to start adding the milk. And just whisk the whole time you're doing this. Don't just dump it right in. You want to get this all whisk together and those lumps. It's easier to do it with a little bit less liquid in there. You see, they've just about dissolved. And then we'll start adding and I apologize for this pan. I don't know what's happened to it, but nothing good. Oh. I'll go lighter until I can hold on to it. Okay. So we're going to let this warm up. Oops. Okay, so I switched pans, and this one is almost as bad as the other one, so I obviously need a new frying pan. And we do want to just keep stirring that every once in a while. Don't let it go more than 30 seconds at a time at this stage. And we want this to heat up and bubble. You don't want to stir this too fast because then you cool it off, but what you're trying to do is keep it mixed up and keep it from sticking to the bottom. So what my main job here is at this point is to just clear the bottom continuously, because this can turn on a dime and become something that's not good for. Like, it's, instead of looking like milk, it's looking thicker and thicker. So its magic is working. And that's what a roux is. It takes a liquid and thickens it up in this. And as long as I just keep stirring gently and clearing the bottom, you can see the milk the thickening milk coming off of the bottom. If it comes off too fast, I turn it down a little bit, but right now I'm not alarmed. Every once in a while I stop to see if I see any bubbles coming. I see it, oops, I see a few right there. They're starting. See? And this is the point where you start stirring. See? More bubbles. Woohoo! I just am happy. And then we're just gonna gently stir this. Once it gets really bubbling, we'll whisk a little faster, but you can use this technique for so many things. Puddings, gravy, macaroni and cheese, Welsh rarebit. I mean, there's just so many things you can do with this sauce. And I'm liking this because when I get that going back and forth, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the whisk cutting through that. See? The shape of the whisk. Okay, I'm gonna let that stop now. Okay, and as this cools down, it will thicken up. You want to salt every component so that it's all seasoned properly. So I'm gonna add some salt. You can, if you want to, you can add white pepper. I am gonna add black pepper. I'm okay with that. I just add a little bit. Okay, so I've tasted for salt and pepper, and the next ingredient that goes in here is nutmeg. You can use nutmeg from the ground nutmeg that you buy in the store, or you can grind your own. And this is totally to taste. You don't have to put it in if you don't want to, but it does add a nice flavor. And I would go light on this to start with, just to make sure, because it's a strong flavor. And you just want to make sure that you're happy with the taste. Oh, that noise is annoying. See how that's thickening up? I can taste it. That's great. Okay, so we'll let this sit for a bit and cool off a little bit. The ragu is looking great, and then I've already cooked my noodles, and I have my pan ready. It's 16 by 12 by 3 inches deep, and we'll come back once this is cooled off. Okay, so now we're going to put the lasagna together. And this is the cheese grater. I've grated a bit of the cheese already, and this thing is really cool. And you just grate it like that, and then if you don't use it all, it's got this handy dandy top, and you can keep your cheese like that. Okay, so for the first step, we're going to take a small spoonful of the meat sauce and just spread it around. And this recipe is all about the pasta. It's a pasta dish that happens to have bechamel and meat. So we're not gonna, this isn't like a traditional, the lasagna we're all used to with the sauce drooping, you know, all over it, and it's it's simple. It's just a little bit more simple. This recipe calls for 5 pasta layers. So so you want to just kind of eye this and kind of divide it into 6, really. So the next step is we're going to add a little bit more to this layer of the sauce. Spread that around a little bit. Just make sure that it's pushed up against the Okay, so there's that. And then we're going to take some bechamel. We're just going to rub this all over everything. We're going to rub that all in. Push everything so that it's covering everything, even in the corners there. Okay, so we'll leave that like that, and then we're going to take a healthy amount of Parmesan Reggiano. Parmigiano
Reggiano.
Someday I'm going to get that. Okay. Okay, so the next layer, same exact thing. Make sure that's up against that end this time. Try not to overlap the noodles too much. You want them just one flat layer. Okay, so we do the same thing here. Just get a big spoonful. Parmigiano Reggiano. Okay, so that is the lasagna. You're going to cook this on 350 for about 40 minutes, and it needs to be bubbling. I will show this to you when it comes out of the oven. Okay, that's it. Yes. So here's the lasagna. I am going to broil this a little bit to brown it a little bit more on the top. Oh, that was just perfect timing. So the lasagna measures at 163 degrees, which it needs to be 160 degrees. Classic lasagna. It is so delicious.